Way, how are we, Game Leapers? Coach X's back with another weapon of a video, and in this one you are going to learn how to win lane every single time on JHIN, the best champion in the game at the moment. JHIN has been the dominant AD carry in this preseason, and we are about to find out why, and more importantly, how. How can you waddle to the bot lane in your games and hard stomp your matchup? How can you do anything against a support like Brand? He's so OP. Even if I do win lane, they have a green bandage tosser with a Sunfire Aegis. What do I do? Guys, all of these questions and more will be answered in this video, so make sure you stick around because you will miss out on some red hot tips and tricks. As always, go ahead and like the video to help us out, subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of the Season 11 changes, and guess what? There is a massive 50% sale on at our website GameLeap.com, the best place to hone your skills and stomp your way through the ranks. Challenger courses, guides, and videos designed to help you reach that next level. If there was ever a time to cash in, it's now. Check it out. Link will be in the description and at the end of this video. Alright, let's get into it. The first tip, eye on the threat. Guys, this is what you are going to do. Keep your eye on the threat. And this is what you're not going to do. Play as if the enemy support isn't there at all. We're going to watch the next 30 seconds of gameplay playing as if we were JHIN, and the trick is to watch Brand the entire time. In your games, by the way, start with boots of speed into dangerous supports. This is what this JHIN does here. This lets you evade their danger and stay as healthy as possible. Let me pause it here quick. When Brand moves up like this, what's his intention? To throw out a bit of damage, right? So the reaction if you're JHIN is to move back and Brand misses his W. The lane will still be rough for the next 30 seconds or so because the enemy bot lane have the push, but JHIN has 4 health potions, and as long as he doesn't run it down, Pyke and himself are more than fine. He gets clipped by Kai'Sa's W and a Pillar of Flame under tower, but he's at least half HP with sustain in hand. So even when he gets hit by the threat, he's at such a range where nothing happens because of it. He's safe, and the key to all of it is watching that threat and reacting to it. This could be the most obvious tip anyone has given anyone, but it's imperative to understand. The reason Brand, Zyra, Swain, all these supports are such a handful for players in low elo is because you don't actually condition your play around that big threat. You lane as if that early game harasser isn't there at all. It might as well be a practice tool. The only time players in lower levels of play consider that threat is when they want to deal damage to them. So yeah, it's always good to deal damage, don't get me wrong, but it's just as important to not take damage. Watch this fight. How is JHIN able to stay close to full health during the entire play? He watches Brand. The dodge on that Brand W was disgustingly good, I will say that, but he's able to pull it off because he watches that threat. In the early laning phase, you can't CS efficiently and one-shot that impressive support, so you have to manage all forms of damage, whether that's coming from you or the enemy threat. You know why watching the enemy support when you're laning is so useful? Because it keeps you safe. You know exactly where that danger is, so you can position yourself accordingly. I guarantee you guys, if you start focusing more on the enemy support and not your Instagram DMs, you will die so much less and win lanes so much more. Moving on to the next tip, chaining. And we ain't talking Silas. Sorry, that was bad. But here's what you guys have to do. Timing your Deadly Flourish, your W, with your team's damage and crowd control to lock down enemy champions. There's no use in just throwing out a W to see what it does. You have to start coordinating this ability with your damage or your supports. This fight, for example, what happens after JHIN lands his W? Kai'Sa uses her flash to escape certain death, right? So JHIN could have used his W a fraction earlier, if I'm going to be really critical, trying to time it as Kai'Sa lands from being airborne. But all in all though, this is exactly how you need to be using your W, synergizing your root with other damage. When JHIN kills Brand here, he again could have timed his W with Pyke's Q a little better, but the idea is right. It's almost impossible to miss unless the opponent flashes. Look at this example. JHIN has his W at the ready, and who's lurking in the wings? The friendly Rek'Sai. So how would you go about using your W in this situation? A. Use it before Rek'Sai ganks, or B, use it when Rek'Sai ganks. If you went with A, I'm taking you to a doctor. You want to be timing your route with the Rek'Sai, and this could be for any gank. Let me pause it here. He just used his W to try to catch Kai'Sa. Was this the right play? Yes. Brand is 100% dead here, and if the root lands on Kai'Sa, there's a good chance she hits the deck as well. In reply, she has to avoid the root because it is that deadly with her ultimate. Using your W as a setup for you and your teammates is one of the first steps to take in becoming a great Jhin player, and is one of the reasons Jhin is such a strong AD carry. So start using your deadly flourish to chain CC enemy champions. Tip number 3. Weaving. When you auto attack or use an ability on Jhin, apart from your ultimate of course, always be moving before and after casting them. Never ever stand still. Do you think it's a good idea to stand still when you auto attack an enemy champion? No. And this is on any champion and especially AD carries. As Jhin, you have movement speed in your passive and more mobility once you purchase Boots of Swiftness, but once you are caught, you are doomed. So how does weaving in and out of attacks and abilities keep you safe? Well, you become harder to hit. My dad could land a Brand W in Q if you were to stand still auto-attacking him and he's never played League. The best players in the world are always on the move, and even if this Brand is Challenger in Korea, it's hard for him to land his basic abilities on you when you've got happy feet. Watch this fight closely, and I'm going to pause it when I want you to point something out. What did Jhin use here? His W with the pike engage, which was tip number 2, chaining. Kai'Sa is locked in place and dies in a second. Let's keep watching. Now, that was beautiful, wasn't it? Is Jhin standing still between his auto attacks and abilities? No. And what does he evade as a result? The threat of Brand 100 to zeroing him. So the reason you guys have trouble facing supports like Brand, and I'm not saying all of you by the way, but lots of comments mention Brand being super hard to lane against this patch, is because you are static. You are stuck in place. It's almost as if you have CC'd yourself and you are asking the enemy support to send you back to base. In the space of 3 seconds, Jhin has applied the first 3 tips we talked about. Eye on the threat, chaining, and weaving. This results in a double kill, and look at his health. He didn't lose any of it. Brand is hard to lane against when he lands his abilities for sure, but you are part of that equation and you can influence the outcome. This kill right here guys, watch this. This is the nuts. A wild Brand suddenly appears, play the Pokemon music. Alright, let's not get that into it. But eye on the threat, bang. This gives Jhin the opportunity to anticipate what Brand wants to do, and Jhin avoids every skill shot because of it. Weaving. After Brand misses everything, does Jhin stand still or run off? He doesn't. He chases Brand because he just used his cooldowns good. So Jhin is safe to turn the tide of the battle. Brand has used his threat if you like, so now he's just auto attack Brand, and this is nothing. I'm going to play this back so you can watch it in real time, and when I saw this kill I did get very excited, and not in the general sense. Moving swiftly on before I get in trouble. Tip number 4, Q before the 4th. If you want to deal the maximum amount of damage as possible, you are going to press Q on the enemy champion before your 4th shot. Why is this important? Think about your 4th shot. The lower the enemy champion is, the more damage our 4th shot does. Good. So your goal is to soften them up as much as possible so you can detonate them with your empowered attack. This is incredibly powerful with Dark Harvest, and this is the keystone you are going to start using if you're not already. Dark Harvest amplifies this damage, and if an enemy champion is below half health, they better run. Watch this clip. Let's start by counting Jin's bullets. He uses 2 on the Scuttle Crab, meaning he has 2 more shots left in the chamber. And what's the last one? His 4th shot. So when he Ghost Blades towards Kai'Sa here, does he want to use his 4th shot before his Q or after it? Again, if you said after it, give me a call, I know someone who can help you. Yeah, so you want to Q before guys, so your 4th shot blows them to bits. Notice in this fight how Jhin uses his grenade before unleashing his 4th shot, thereby maximizing his damage onto Kai'Sa, and she dies in a split second. Now, sometimes it doesn't matter, and this is when the enemy champion is 100% dead. It doesn't matter how you use your attacks and abilities. Like Brand here. He's used all his abilities and Kai'Sa runs off, so he is dead regardless of how Jhin combos. So in these situations, don't worry about using your Q after your 4th shot or vice versa, they're dead anyway, just secure the kill. The last topic of discussion is the Jhin build. Dark Harvest should already be locked in place on your rune page, and the rest of the page is on screen now. Standard stuff. Now let's talk about the build itself. Start Doran's Blade into support with little crowd control. Boots become less of a priority, and Doran's Blade is great for early lane bullying. If you are a confident Jhin player, start Longsword into the same matchups. This makes it easier to buy a serrated Dirk and gives you a little more attack damage early on. As addressed in this video, start Boots into high damage skill shot champions and big crowd control champions. Think of Brand, Thresh, Alistar. We build Boots of Swiftness every game, and our first major item is Eclipse, and we build this every game as well. Next on the shopping list, the Collector. followed by Ghostblade. These 4 items are core on Jhin, and if you build this every game and apply the 4 tips in this video, there is no reason why you can't hard carry every single one of your games, guys. Let me know in the comments what tip you found most useful. As always, gang, please help a video out and drop a like before leaving. And remember, 50% off GameLeap.com memberships. Get your cursors moving and fingers clicking, and get signed up before our massive sale ends. If you love League of Legends and want to improve like no other, then it is a no-brainer. The best content going around to help you reach the summit, so join now. Link in the description. Thanks so much for watching, guys. This has been Coach Cheeks, and until next time, peace.